Test one, two. If we could have everyone come in and take your seats, we're going to go ahead and get started for tonight. For anyone who is out in the hallway coming in, please come take your seats. You don't want to miss tonight. '24 Primary Election Forum, Candidates Forum. I want to welcome you all back who were here with us last night for the state panel of forums that we had last night. Welcome you back, and for those of you who are joining us for the first time on tonight, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'd like to welcome you to the Victory and Praise Church, here where we're being hosted. And if you don't mind, can we just give a hand to them for being gracious hosts to us? Thank you. My name is Pastor Curtis Smith. I am the Executive Director for Faith in the Valley, one of the co-hosts for this evening's Candidates Forum, and we are partnering with Victory and Praise Church, the National Association for Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, and BWOPA, Black Women Organized for Political Action. And so let's give these organizations a hand as well. For those of you who haven't heard of us, well, Faith in the Valley is a multi-faith, multiracial grassroots coalition of hundreds of congregations, allies, have the privilege of this one community in Stockton and San Joaquin County. So this race, I should say, these panel discussions and this candidates forums this week means a lot to those of us because I am a Stockton resident, born and raised here in the city of Stockton, California. So with that, we believe that, these races are important for us, for our community, for our well-being, for the city that we want to become, and we also want to make sure that we are voting for people who hold the values that we hold. So tonight we have scorecards. If you weren't able to pick one up in the sign-in sheet area, the sign-in area when you first walk in, we ask that you do sign in, and if you need a scorecard, they are there at the tables there. And these scorecards are for you to take home with you to be able to see how people fare in their discussions and what they're saying and help you to remember. Of this forum, so you can meet some of the candidates there right to my left, your right, in the back section there. They will be set up there. And please stop by the tables. There are organizations that are hosting this, have some wonderful information out there about events that are coming up and things that are important to you, your families, and the community. So please stop by and get the information that they have there. Also, we would like to encourage you to register and get registered on tonight. So again, please take care of all of that information. We also would like to say, please, no food or drink in the sanctuary. You can have bottled water that has a lid on it, please. So bottled water that has a lid. And without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to your MC for this evening, one of our amazing organizers from Faith in the Valley and a part of Victory and Praise Church, Ms. Tia Lynn Barnes.
You're going to get it for the middle name, but that's all right. Thank you, Pastor Curtis. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Tia Barnes, and I'm an organizer with Faith in the Valley, as well as a longtime member of Victory and Praise Church, Stockton. All right. It is important that we exercise our rights to vote. This forum is to give public information regarding candidates running for federal, state, and local elections. We will be hosting forums from tonight's forum.
Good evening. Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you, we magnify you, we bless your name, God, because you are good, you are great, you are wonderful, you are righteous, God. God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather here tonight, to listen, to hear, and to learn so that we will make an informed decision, Father God. God, I ask that you bring peace into the room and that there be order in your excellence. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, so the Board of Supervisors for Districts 1, 3, and 5. Faith in the Valley, Victory and Praise, and the NAACP are nonpartisan organizations. As such, we have invited all candidates running for each of the respective races. Our goal is to introduce you to the candidates and ask questions to reveal each candidate's goal and vision. Tonight's first panel will be the County Board of Education. To invite candidates, we send out letters, emails, we made phone calls, and sent text messages. We even stalked their social media accounts. No. There are 2 candidates running for the County Board of Education position, Jordan Giovanni and Greg Clark. Greg Clark did not respond to the invitations. Let's welcome Jordan Giovanni. Here are a few ground rules. We will be courteous to each other. There will be no swearing or foul language of any kind used. Each candidate will have an opening statement of 1 minute, a question and answer period with our moderator. During that time, each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. Finally, there will be a closing statement of 2 minutes. We are excited to announce that we are broadcasting live on 3 websites, Victory and Praise Church, Faith in the Valley, as well as the NAACP Stockton Facebook page. We encourage you all to like and share to spread candidate awareness across our community. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator for the Board of Education panel, Margaret.
Who could not be with us tonight. So we will proceed. Thank you. Have a seat. Okay, you're running for the Board of Education Trustee District 1. I have a few questions. It's not on?
District 5. I'm running for County Board of Ed, District 5.
Okay. Then I have the wrong one.
That's okay.
The Office of Education. Less than one. The program.
Very interested in career readiness. That's something that I'm very passionate about as well. I feel like in America as a whole, we place a great emphasis on earning diplomas as opposed to valuing learning. To me, those are 2 different things. I have been a lifetime educator. I value learning very highly. And those diplomas don't mean anything if our students don't have the skills to earn high-paying jobs in our community. So it's incredibly important that, as you said, we get students into career readiness programs that are teaching them skills, and often our local businesses are trying to create programs in which they would like to give our local students internships. I have been speaking with many of those local businesses and the executive director of the San Joaquin Business Council. The feedback that I get often is that they can't even get students to become interested in these internship opportunities. So I think a huge part of this is education in our community. As a board member, my job does not end at the end of the 1 or 2 hour meeting that we have once a month. If you are a trustee on a school board, it is your job to be in the community, communicating with constituents, listening to concerns, educating parents on how they can get their children into these types of opportunities. Right now, I think that there is a bit of stagnation on the County Board of Ed, and that they are not going out and connecting with the community that they represent. And part of that is going and
Time.
examining disproportionality in some of these areas and making sure that we get students representing all nationalities.
Okay, thank you. The County Office of Education has the Teacher College, where attendees can be certified as administrators. What recommendations do you have to increase the number of Black teachers and even more so administrators in the county? And does your plan align with the current board policy on hiring, or will it require a new board policy on hiring?
I think the personnel analysis that goes on at the County Board of Ed is very strong at the moment. That being said, of course, there are still disparities in the nationalities that we see of folks entering the teaching professions. Something that I feel very strongly about is that sometimes it's not always about recruiting new faculty members. The folks that we have in the system, they leave for a reason. Teacher turnover is very high, not just in the state of California, but throughout the nation. I think that we need to examine why folks are leaving the teaching profession. I think we need to invest in the quality teachers that we have and make sure that they do not get burnt out, and that will attract more teachers into the profession. I think we also need to statistically look at what is going on with our teachers of color and integrate their voices into the conversation. It's difficult for us to understand why folks aren't coming into the teaching profession or why they're not leaving if we're simply not doing our research and having these connected conversations with the representatives of these populations, which is something that I frankly don't think we do very well right now.
What strategies do you have to create diversity, equity, and inclusion in the county of San Joaquin, recognizing the changes in the rapidly changing ethnic demographics in the county?
Are you speaking specifically to the personnel at the County Office of Ed or to students attending these schools, or perhaps both?
All of them.
Awesome. Our county is changing rapidly, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Vast majority of institutions in the Central Valley are already deemed what we call Hispanic Serving Institutions, or HSIs. Along with those designations, we often get grants to make sure that we can focus on students of color. We've also seen a number of our institutions get certified as institutions that are serving Asian Pacific Islander and Native American populations as well. I would love for us to get funding and grant streams that focus on our African American students and elevating them to excellence. I think piggybacking on finding those sources of funding that support those students is also examining the number of students in those populations that are facing suspension and expulsion, and making sure that we are keeping our children in school and making sure that these students are getting to the finish line instead of responding to them with punitive action that keeps them out of the classroom longer.
Thank you so much for responding to those questions and giving us your thoughts. Now you will have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So y'all, they introduced me. I want to thank all 4 of the organizations that invited us here tonight. My name is Jordan Giannone. I'm a candidate for the San Joaquin County Board of Education, District 5. I represent North Stockton and all of North County, so that's Lodi, Lockford, Acampo, Woodbridge, Clements, the Delta Terminus, Murata, and North Stockton. I am running because I feel that most of the school boards in our area are one of 2 things. They're either stagnant or they are corrupt, and our children deserve better. I've been an educator for my entire career and worked in different educational settings, even dating back to my teen years. I was a site coordinator for a Boys and Girls Club. I worked in corporate education books in 2015. in May. In classroom practice. I believe in empowering parents' voices. I think families and parents know what's in the best interest of their alongside those of our teachers. Our efforts forward. Private steward of our community and as a trustee on the County Board of Ed, if elected, that I do right by the voters in this county, and I'll promise to do that. I hope you vote for education on March 5th, and when you do, I hope you vote for Jordan Giannone. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Marguerite.
Thank you. And it looks like we skipped your opening statement. If you would like, you've got another minute if you would like to take that.
I honestly think I got it all in. Thank y'all for being such a wonderful audience and for having me here tonight. Please come find me if you have individual or specific questions afterward, and I would be happy to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank our moderator. Marguerite, thank you very much. Let's see. So again, just as she stated, if you have any additional questions, we welcome you to stay until the end of the forum. At the end of the forum, we will have an opportunity for a meet and greet with the candidates. We also invite all candidates as well as your staff to stay to meet and greet with the constituents. Okay. Tonight's second panel will be the County Board of Supervisors, District 1. There are 5 candidates running for this position. Mario, please forgive me for messing up everyone's name. Gardia, Liliana Erdu, Terrence West, Mark Stebbin, Chris Ripet. Terrence West declined our invitation. Let's please welcome Mario, Liliana, Mark, and Chris. We're gonna work it out. Okay. See, okay, there we go. No. Anywhere you like. Sure, anywhere you like. At this moment, I'd also like to introduce the facilitator for the County Board of Supervisors District 1 race.
Thank you for being here. Once again, my name is Chris Cannon, part of the Victory and Praise Social Justice Ministry. Excited to moderate this forum. So right now we have Board of Supervisors District 1 for San Joaquin County. Just a few announcements first. Remember, please, no food or liquids in the sanctuary. No foul language. This is a place of God. And be respectful just to the sanctuary and to the place. Sounds good? All right. So first, we'll start out with a 1-minute opening statement from each candidate. Then we'll go through and have 3 questions, 2 minutes each. For the candidates, the time is up there. If you go over the 2 minutes, they'll stop down there. So we'll just keep you on track that way. At the end, we'll have a 2-minute closing statement by each candidate. Sounds good? All right, I appreciate it. So begin, I will start my first opening statement with Mr. Rupe. You got it.
Well, good evening, everybody. Just like to give thanks here, appreciation of Victory and Praise Church for hosting this. Important, all of you. It's important who you vote for that's going to represent your community. My name is Chris Rupe. Born and raised here in Stockton, East Side Stockton. I grew up by Stribley Park. You know, Webster Slaughter was my neighbor growing up, really close with the Ware family, the Stallworths, and so forth. We all grew up together. And matter of fact, Pastor Curtis Smith, who we went to school together since first grade. And so, community, that's everything. And the biggest thing is to have somebody in this district that cares. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what I do, because unless you grew up in it and you lived in it and experienced the things that folks experience today.
Time.
Oh, that was it? Oh.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Next, we'll have a 1-minute opening statement by Ms. Udang. Ms. Udang?
Hi, folks. My name is Liliana Udang. I am a long life resident of Stockton District 1. I grew up in the Lewis Park neighborhood. I currently live in my family home because, like many of the Stocktonians today, I can't afford to buy my own house. I have a JD. My husband is a full-time music teacher in a school district. But like a lot of millennials, I've got some of those everyday problems that we all now face. Student loans, incredibly expensive childcare, an inability to find a good, affordable home here. And so part of my mission is really to make sure that this county is a place where my kids can thrive. Most folks my age feel like they need to leave in order to make something of themselves and to do better. I don't want that to be the case going forward. I think it's time for my generation to take our seat at the table to make sure priorities are being recognized for the upcoming generation. And so I would just really appreciate your thoughtful consideration and your potential support on March 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Next, we'll have
sat in at Cadillac Agency, picketed Crownsville back. I came to Stockton, working for the South Stockton Community Parish. We started for justice in Stockton. For 55 years, I've been doing that. I started a community garden project where 900 families participated in 30 different sites throughout the county. We served on the Willie Brown's committee for the advisory committee to Willie for participation of blacks in agriculture. At that time, there were 9 black farmers in San Joaquin County out of 3,000 farmers. We also started our own business.
Thank you, sir. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And last but not least, we'll have an opening statement by Mr. Gardia.
Hello, my name is Mario Gardia. I'm also a lifelong resident of Stockton. I went to school at Fremont Middle School right down the road and graduated from Franklin High School. I'm married, been married 31 years to my wife, who also went to Franklin High School. I'm currently the president of Stockton Professional Firefighters, so I see firsthand what's going on in our community from a first responder aspect. I'm a little bit concerned about the future of our youth, because I believe all our issues that we're dealing with right now goes down to our youth. Back when I was growing up in this neighborhood, there was a lot of things to do. We were able to go to community centers. We were able to go to pools. We had sports that kept us out of trouble. And it's my belief that's what kept me out of trouble. I became a father at 18 of 2 children. My daughters are the first kids to graduate college in my family. My other 2 also graduated recently. So I'm coming in as a person that's gonna dedicate his time to public safety.
Time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Next, we'll have 2 minutes for each question. I'll read the question. We'll start with Mr. Gardia and work our way around. So the question is, working class Stocktonians can no longer afford housing and are often termed as the working poor. What is your plan for housing affordability for this group of residents? Ms. Gardia?
You know what, honestly, I believe, I was thinking about this the other day, that there's no other affordable housing around Stockton. You go to Manteca, you go to Lodi, you go to Ripon, housing is 30 to 60% more. I think the problem is we need to be competitive when it comes to wages in Stockton, that we can have the ability to bring economic development, bring good paying jobs, get back into the vocational, train our young youth to get good jobs. And that's what's going to provide the type of money that's going to allow them, like myself, to provide for their families. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no problem. Working class Stocktonians can no longer afford housing and are often termed as the working poor. What is your plan for housing affordability for this group?
You know, I believe housing is very children. You know, good paying jobs here in the community, but right now the workforce is depleted. The police department, the fire department, we are trying hard to hire within our community, but we're having to go outside of our community because we don't have the trained personnel. We no longer have EMT courses, paramedic courses. A lot of the vocational classes that I had when I was at Franklin High School, we used to have wood shop, mechanic, all these different trades out there, and we no longer have that. And I'm not saying that college isn't a good path, but we need to let our youth know that college is a choice, and there's other opportunities out there that will allow you to afford a nice house.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Mr. Stebbins, would you like me to repeat the question for you? All right. Working class Stocktonians can no longer afford housing and are often termed as the working poor. What is your plan for housing affordability for this group of residents?
One of the first things I did in Stockton was work for the passage of Measure D, which was the passage trying to authorize scattered site public housing throughout the community of Stockton. Unfortunately, it did not pass. This was a segregated community and remained so for a long time, finally getting some relief from the FHA 235 programs and others. My wife and I have been real estate brokers for a long time in Stockton, she being the first black woman real estate broker within the county. This housing problem in Stockton is a problem of the Depression, which we experienced in 2008 and continues throughout the country. There is going to be no relief for housing until we have economic relief. And that economic relief is going to have to come from government in the sense of a relaxing of regulations and a move toward more opportunity for people within the city and within the county. It's not a matter of jobs. We've started our own business and been in business for 40 years. We centered our business in South Stockton. We need many people to do the same thing. We have started and worked diligently in African American Chamber of Commerce and in other economic venues.
Time.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Ms. Udeng, would you like me to read the question again?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Y'all heard already that I am not somebody who owns their own home. I did everything I was told I was supposed to do. I graduated high school, I went to college, I got a law degree, I came back home to try to serve my community, and what I found is that aside from the needing more economic development, the housing stock is just not there for the needs of our current community. We have expensive market rate housing starting at $600,000 and above, and we have extremely low income housing, which we absolutely need. But that middle tier is almost completely missing. What we see happening on a regional level is when the Bay Area gets priced out, we get priced out. And what the county should be doing is creating long-term plans that recognize those patterns that when the first house. Back in 2007, before the market crash, it was really easy to get a loan. Those kinds of loans aren't available for folks like me. There are amazing guardrails up to make sure fraud doesn't happen, but that leaves folks like me and tons of other people who are working every day to try to make sure there's a roof over their kids' heads to get into a stable housing environment. And so this county needs to be working not with just developers, but we need to be working with the community to make sure that we are zoning in the areas of our community where we're growing, not just on the outskirts of town where communities have not historically been. When was the last time you saw new housing developments on the east side and south side that weren't part of public housing? I'll wait. That's what we need to be working on. We need to be doing it collectively, and we need to be doing it thoroughly so that we are not missing gaps the way we are today. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And Ms. Rupay, do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I got it right there. So just to answer her question about East Side, we do have a housing development that's being built right by Franklin High School, right there off East Main Street. We have Solari Ranch. We have right by Delmar Park. We're building over 200 homes right there currently right now. So just for that information. So I tell you what, we are doing some action. There is action that's happening out there right now. And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're building a lot of workforce housing. Those apartment complexes you see, the one right there downtown by the movie theater, downtown Stockton. We have one that's gonna be coming down on Minor Street. We have some other locations that we're building workforce housing. Those are, if you're not familiar with what workforce housing is, that's where people have jobs. People stay there that have jobs, and you pay based on what you make is what you pay. So that's on a sliding scale. So we are working with nonprofit partners to build more of those in our district, in South Stockton and in East Stockton right now. We're also looking at single-family homes. You're right, some of these houses for a starter home, it's too expensive. So what we're doing, it don't have to be 1,800 square feet. How about if it's 1,100 square feet? It don't have to be a real big house, but just a starter house. So you can get into it, affordable, and you can start building equity. And that's what we want, to help families start building equity. And that's one of the things, other things that we're doing. The other thing that we're doing is we're also working in community development on secondary dwelling units in the backyards. Not only just one, but putting two back there. Also looking at junior accessory dwelling units that you can make part of your home. We are looking at all alternatives that we can get right now. But there's a lot of good things, big things that are happening. And one thing I want to say, back on the workforce housing, we want to take it a step further, because when these units become available, we said one thing out of our office, says, you know what? We want the residents from Stockton to get first opportunity living there. It's not people from the Bay Area, it's people from Stockton. We have our own we need to take care of, and that's what we're doing right now. It's our people first.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. For question number 2, we'll start with Ms. Udang and work our way back around. So this question is similar to question 1, staying alongside with housing and rent and affordability. And so I'll give a background and then I'll ask the question. In your district, 95% of extremely low income households are a cost burden. This means a significant portion of income goes towards housing, rent, and they often face adverse health outcomes due to financial stress. So the question is, how do you plan to address the issue of rent burden and its impact on the health of residents? Are there any specific policies or initiatives you would advocate for your district versus what your fellow supervisors may do for District 3 or 5 to alleviate rent burden and promote healthier living conditions for our community members? Ms. Udang?
Thank you. I think the biggest burden that folks face besides their rent is their childcare as well. And so ensuring that we have adequate resources and programming. The county, as you all may know, is meant to be the safety net for our community. We are in charge of facilitating programs and services for the healthcare in our communities. And so if we are not targeting these groups of folks who have these types of rent burdens, we are not doing our job. And so the best way to do that I know is uplifting CBOs and nonprofits to do a lot of great outreach work to try to ensure that those opportunities are afforded to folks. We have a struggle in this community with maintaining nonprofits for an extended period of time to ensure that they are able to build some of that cultural and institutional knowledge to be able to help facilitate those types of programs. I'd like to try to make sure that we are empowering nonprofits, giving them the space that they need to thrive, and then supporting them locally. And then I think the second part, as I alluded to at the beginning of my answer, is we need to try to find ways to cut back costs on other aspects of life, whether that's childcare, whether that's transportation, whether that's food costs. We have tons of food deserts in District 1. It's crazy to me that you need to take a bus and stop in 15 different locations before you get to a grocery store that's not attached to a liquor store. What we should be doing is ensuring that all of those other issues that surround us as just people trying to live day by day are not so existential that missing one payment puts us on the verge of homelessness. And so I think it's just incredibly crucial that we are looking at this holistically. It's not just rent, right? It's all these other factors that tend to multiply. And then those health burdens become so very real. And that's when the county really needs to make sure that our health programs are in place, that we are reaching out to communities ahead of time to try to provide preventative services and the like. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Stebbins, would you like for me to repeat the question? Yeah, for sure. How do you plan to address the issue of rent burden and its impact on the health of residents? Are there specific policies or initiatives you will advocate for your district versus what your fellow supervisors may do for their districts to alleviate rent burden and promote healthier living conditions for our community members?
I did want to say one more thing in regard to the previous question, which was one of the things we have to do with housing is develop a new model of what housing we want, because the model of the 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage family home in the stucco village of North Stockton isn't what really fills the needs of people. Aside from that, in terms of health, one of the things which we have moved away from entirely is the concept of community education and health. We need that. We need to have visiting nurses in people's homes able to give people reliable health information, and that needs to go across the board. It was a situation in Stockton in 1982. Unfortunately, it got changed, and the health model became a sort of a corporate healthcare model. I would like to see us reinstitute visiting nurses in every home in Stockton. The cost of that would be much less than the cost for caring of the diseases that we currently run into. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Guardia, would you like for me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Your 2-minute start.
So it's my belief that we have programs within the county that are very successful, and then we have programs that obviously from the community's outreach and the community's questions about them. In my position as a District 1 supervisor, I'll make sure that District 1 will get the much needed help that it's needed. But I think we need to relook at some of the programs that we have in place, because I believe there's a lot of duplication of efforts. I think the county and the city need to work together with the different nonprofits to come up with one plan, because I believe we're spread thin. I believe we'd be stronger if we put our resources together. As a firefighter in Stockton, I respond to all 911 calls, and I've seen people who in every situation. A lot of communities have started what they call a community paramedicine, where they have a nurse advocate that goes out with the firefighters that is able to respond to some of these people in need. And it's something that the Stockton Fire Department and some of the neighboring departments have tried to get going, but it has been not successful in San Joaquin County. I'm a firefighter. I'm a blue collar worker who's out in the community and sees the day-to-day struggles that our citizens are having. I don't have all the answers, but what my goal as when I get in this position is to go to you and take your advice and use the resources that I have at the county level to come up with a good plan and work with the other districts, other supervisors to come up with a plan. But my primary goal would be to be District 1 first.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Mr. Rupe, would you like for me to repeat the question?
Well, you know what? Yes, because I was hearing all these answers. I got all confused now listening to these answers. but-
I'll give you the
Go
short,
ahead, please.
the shortened version again. It says, how do you plan to address the issue of rent burden and its impact on the health of residents? Are there specific policies or initiatives you advocate for versus what your fellow supervisors may do for their districts to alleviate rent burden and promote healthier living conditions for our community members?
Well, that's a great question. That's very important because, yeah, it's expensive. Cost of living, it's no joke. You know, right now we have our County Board of Supervisors are fighting PG&E right now because these outrageous prices that we're facing right now. And you have facing, really, it's an urgent matter, is foodability, to get access to food. Our distribution of food, the lines are getting longer, and the struggle is real, and people are making decisions. Do I get groceries or do I go to work, you know, for gas? So right now we're extending our through the with through our also you mentioned our nonprofits were our big part, our CBOs that are also getting funding through grant monies to help residents. It's a collective effort, and especially now that we're facing a state budget cuts. It's not a soft budget cut. It's going to be a hard budget cut. And more of the burden's putting on the counties for us to figure out what we can do because the state's not going to have the monies. So there are some challenges that we're going to face. And that's why it's important you have the strongest person up there representing your district, running for San Joaquin County, that knows the system, that knows how to navigate throughout the county, to work with the different departments and CBOs, that's going to help find the money and cares about the residents of their district. And so, you know me, that's me. I care about all of you. So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For our last questions, Mr. Stebbins, I'll start with you, and we'll work our way back around. The question is, what programs or actions, if any, do you support to address mental health in San Joaquin County? Mr. Stebbins? Yeah, the question is, what programs or actions, if any, do you support to address mental health in San Joaquin County?
One of the things I advocate for in particular is a vision for San Joaquin County to be an agricultural university and center for the nation. Part of this would involve expanding the Delta College program and farm to be a full-fledged agricultural university. Part of it would be taking the fairgrounds and making it an agriculturally themed amusement park in which people throughout the District 1 would find new jobs, new knowledge, new opportunity, new production. I would support seeing that we have a program within this county that fully produces and makes citizens producers of the needs of this county. And so that we will have a county that is truly happy, productive, and well established in an economic needs fulfilling sense.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Mr. Guardia, would you like for me to repeat the question? Okay, the question is, what programs or actions, if any, do you support to address mental health in San Joaquin County?
Sure. Anybody that's grown up in Stockton knows that at the point that we closed 1212 California, our mental health went in the drain. It's as a first responder, what I see out there in the public right now, it's become a drug epidemic that has created a mental health crisis. It's my belief that is got to be the forefront of getting ahead of our mental health issues. We have to have the ability to steer people who want help in the right directions. It's my belief that the price of drugs have gone way down in our community. So the accessibility of drugs is creating a problem that I believe we're heading the wrong way. If you look at our homeless population, an increase of our homeless population, we have to get ahead of the drug epidemic first before we're going to even curb the issues when it comes to our mental health. I think it's all about accessibility. I believe our community doesn't know where to go when there is a crisis. We got to do a better job of promoting what we already offer. I believe San Joaquin County, there are programs in place, and as a District 1 supervisor, I'll work with, like I said earlier, the nonprofits and work with the professionals who have innovative ideas and ideas that work in other communities, and not try to reinvent the wheel. Because there are other communities that are successful at getting ahead of some of the issues a lot further ahead of Stockton. So my goal would be to work with the people who are working in the trenches and give them the resources that they would need.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Mr. Rapay, would you like me to repeat the question?
Absolutely.
All right.
No,
program?
I got it. I'm sorry, Chris. I got it. No, I got it. So one of the things that we're doing right now is we have a shortage of mental health therapists in the Valley. It's one of the worst in the state of California. So San Joaquin County's partnered up with the University of Pacific, Stanislaus State, and to get more therapists. That's what we need. And so we're creating grant programs to get these therapists in our communities working with Stockton Unified School District, where we have in the high schools, we have these wellness centers. Wellness centers address from the bullying and different types of counseling. We have them in the elementary schools, but we need to keep increasing on that. Now, one thing that's unique that San Joaquin County is going to be doing is we have a proposed project called the S.J. Be Well Ready Center. It's going to be a 23-acre campus right across from the county hospital. On the other side of I-5 used to be the golf range. That facility, that campus, is going to address those for residency programs for substance abuse, for including mental health issues, including for sobriety, and also it's going to address our youth. Because right now we don't have anything that addresses our youth. We have to go out to Stanislaus County and other counties. Where we're going to address our own youth so it doesn't get into a bigger problem. So we'll be able to treat our own. Also, we're looking at more we have through our behavioral health. We have our outreach team. Instead of calling, 911, we get our mental health workers out there to address issues. So it's not such a force that's out there, showing that that we care and there's alternatives out there. So there's a lot of progress being made. I'm focused on supporting these programs and increasing them. That's what I plan to do as county supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And Ms. Hudang, would you like for me to repeat the question? All right.
Thank you. So, as some of you may know, my day job is working for State Senator Susan Eggman. I'm her district director. She is the author of a bill that you guys are going to see on your ballots in March, also Prop 1. It reallocates the way Mental Health Services Act dollars are being used in our community. Counties up and down the state, San Joaquin County included, have been sitting on tens of millions of dollars for years and not putting that money into programs and services that are needed and have been needed for decades. And so a couple of those types of programs will focus on youth, will focus on substance abuse for the first time ever. We'll actually be able to use that money for housing of mentally ill and substance users, as well as the homeless, right? These sorts of issues all tend to coincide into one another. But beyond that, we need to get innovative, and we need to be creative, and we need to be looking where it has worked. Part of our district is Stanislaus County, and they are proactive. We initiated Care Court 2 years ago, and they jumped at the chance to be a part of that program. San Joaquin County declined. When we have a serious crisis on our hands, we cannot be batting away resources when they're offered to us. So day one, what my plan is to audit all of the existing programs that we have on offer for mental health services to ensure that they have the outcomes that we actually need. When you say we don't need things like assisted outpatient treatment, which is data-driven and works in 20-plus counties across the state because we have equally adequate programs, show me those numbers. I want to make sure they actually do work for the people that live here. And then beyond that, in District 1 specifically, we need to break down barriers and access to this type of treatment. We all know in the Latino community and the Black community, there's a huge stigma around mental health. We need to create ways to break those barriers down through use of nonprofits, trusted entities like churches, and other civic leaders to ensure that we are doing the outreach needed and getting folks the services that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That completes our questions. We'll now have each candidate do a closing statement, 2 minutes each for each closing statement. We'll start with Ms. Rupe and work our way around. Ms. Rupe?
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate being here again. Thank you for hosting this. I've been in the position as San Joaquin County Chief of Staff for the 1st District. I've been here 7 years working on programs, initiatives. One of some of the things I've done is I have a chart back there. Start going into these communities. If you're from Stockton, you know what Boggs Track is. You know the east side Stockton, Kennedy area, southeast Stockton. And those areas never had sidewalks, never really a lot of care about them. And we came in, we started fixing these neighborhoods up. We have projects where it's gonna change those communities, change them. We have projects we work with the Boggs Track right now. I met with the Port of Stockton and said, hey, you know what, nobody here at the port, nobody here in Boggs Track has a job at Port of Stockton. So what the Port of Stockton did was to initiate and incentivize that the residents from Boggs Track and the surrounding community have first opportunity for jobs there at the Port of Stockton and when there's tenants. Those are similar things that we're doing. We have job fairs that we're working in specific areas. We have 2 of them planned, one for Boggs Track, and we have another one at Kennedy Center that's gonna work with the facilities out there. We are working with the new technology because AI is coming for these warehouse jobs. Warehouse jobs are gonna be going away. It's gonna be all AI technology. So we're teaching 21st century jobs, working with the Office of County Education, WorkNet, to train our workforce for those type of jobs. We are working on economic development plan for our small businesses. And one of the biggest things for me, and we touched a little bit, but is my platform is housing, homelessness, and investment in youth. That's been from day one. Investment in creating new programs, new for activities, life skills, working with our nonprofits, and identifying and creating pathways to careers for our youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Ms. Udang?
Thank you all so much for having me, and thank you all for sticking out this night. I appreciate you coming out to hear what we all have to say. I decided that after I finished my undergrad degree, I wanted to come back home. I went to UC Santa Cruz. They do a lot of things right there, not all applicable to what we have here, but it's functional. It works. And so my desire had always been to try to bring some of that functionality back to where I grew up, because it always does feel a bit dysfunctional at times. And so what I have noticed working at the state is that the Valley gets ignored quite a bit, but part of that is because we don't set ourselves up for success. We are not investing in infrastructure to be able to take advantage of federal and state dollars and programs that exist, and so we get bypassed. Rather than saying, how come not us, we need to say, look at us, we're doing it right, invest in here. And I understand how to do that leveraging. I understand how those partnerships work between a state, federal, county, and local partners to make sure that we're getting the most that we can for a community who deserves the best. I want to make sure that we are working on issues of housing affordability for everybody, not just low income and market rate, but all those in between. I want to make sure that our water infrastructure is safe for generations to come so that we don't get flooded out and lose all the property values that we may have built up over time. I also want to make sure that my family, my 2 boys, have a comfortable place to live where they can grow both economically, educationally, and socially. That requires partnerships with all of our intervening organizations, schools, churches, ballparks, whatever it is. My son is at Oak Park Ice Rink on Wednesdays. That should be an option for everybody. We have a Delta that is a beautiful resource that is completely underutilized. The county should be doing more to ensure that we are taking advantage of our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Mr. Stebbins.
55 years of struggle, 55 years, my wife being an administrative assistant, starting the Community of All Nations Housing Project in South Stockton, 55 years of me starting community gardens, teaching young people how to grow things in their backyards, 55 years of struggling every day with a business to try to serve the people and needs of this community, in real estate, in notary public, in U-Haul rentals, in nursery products. 55 years we put in. 55 years. What have I accomplished? I'm only looking to say that perhaps the continuation in the 56th or 57th year might be the struggle continues as a county supervisor. It may not, it depends on you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Mr. Guardia.
I get off and enjoy. I'm a politician, I'm a firefighter, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a person that's grown up in this community my whole life. I've only ever lived and worked in District 1. I've been a football coach, I've taught kids how to swim, I've been a recruitment person that went out in the community who tried to recruit firefighters within my community to serve the citizens of Stockton. I'm in the houses, I'm in the communities every day, and I want change. I want change. I want to bring opportunity to District 1 and the citizens of Stockton. What I believe what I can bring is I have a great relationship with the city. And I believe our county and our city aren't working together as they should to solve the issues that are going on in our community. Because District 1 is mostly the city of Stockton and some outlying areas. District 1 is the most needy district of all districts. District 1 is the most diverse district. District 1 has the greatest opportunity for economic development. We have the port, we have the Delta, we have all the different freeways, the railways. There's a lot of opportunity in District 1. It's a matter of getting all the stakeholders in place to come up with one solution with a plan that's going to benefit our community. And it's going to take a lot of work. I'm not going to come up here and give you a one answer that I'm going to solve the problems. My goal is, and my ability to work with others to come up with workable solutions. Just a quick example. I'm running out of time. We got to get back to our youth. Our kids got to have things to do, and there's nothing to do right now. You know, you can't even play softball in Stockton anymore without feeling unsafe. The only park that you can go to here in Stockton is Victory. The rest is being overran.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. That does conclude this forum for San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors District 1. I'd like to thank our candidates for sharing their thoughts on their platform. And they will be in the back for questions after the forum. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris Cannon, for moderating this portion of tonight's evening with the County Board of Supervisors District 1. Please let's give him, as well as the candidates, a round of applause. Thank you for coming out tonight. Okay. Again, if you have any additional questions, we are welcoming you to stay to the end of tonight, and we will have a meet and greet with the candidates. We also welcome all the candidates as well as their team to stay to meet with the constituents once we're done. Tonight's third panel will be the County Board of Supervisors District 3. There are 3 candidates running for this position: Angela Sepulveda, Sony Diwali, and Steve DeBrum. Well, please help me welcome the candidates for Board of Supervisor District 3. I'd also like to welcome and introduce our facilitator for this panel, Montina Floyd Okonlawan with the BWOPA, Stockton and Tracy chapter.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful forum. It's a very important forum. My name is Matana Floyd Okonlawan, and I'm pinch hitting for the person from Buapa who was supposed to be the moderator tonight. And so we will start with each candidate giving a 1-minute opening statement, and then they will have 2 minutes to respond to questions. There'll be 3 questions, and then at the end, each will give a 2-minute closing statement. And so we'll start with our first candidate, and that's Sunny Dhaliwal? Sunny Dhaliwal. You could give us a 1-minute opening statement, please.
Good evening, everybody.
My name is San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors for District 3. I am a local small business owner, wife, mom, grew up in this county. This county is my home to me, and I got involved in community service many years ago. I serve on the board for the San Joaquin County Child Abuse Prevention Council. I'm involved in Rotary, the advisory board for the Boys and Girls Club at Sierra Vista, and I am all passion, all heart, and my job is to be your representative at the county level to make sure your voice is heard and the community gets the support that it needs. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go ahead with our third candidate, Mr. Steve DeBrum.
Thank you very much. Welcome this evening. I wanted to thank very much the Faith of the Valley Victory and Praise NAAC and BWOPA for putting on this event this evening. Very exciting to be here. Steve DeBrum is a retired dairy farmer, businessman. I've served in public service as a city council member and the mayor for the city of Manteca. I've been quite involved as when I left office, I continued to work on SAJAFCA, on the airport board, on the Boys and Girls Club, Knights Columbus, and other organizations within our community, giving back. I am running because I feel that I have not completely done what I am intended to do, and that is to serve the people of San Joaquin County. It's just not the District 3, which I represent, the 150,000 people, but the 760,000 that are out there today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll go on to the questions, and you will each have 2 minutes to respond. The first question, and we'll start with Mr. Dhaliwal. With respect to progressive community planning, what is your plan for aggressive community growth and the recolorization of your district?
We have so many challenges in our county, in our society. Housing, homelessness are the one of the priorities that I have, and that's where we need to work together, to address this housing issue, this homelessness issue. It's a very complex situation, but we need to work together to address that, and we will.
Thank you. You do have 2 minutes to, if you want to
that's
say
fine.
more.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dhaliwal. And so, Ms. Sepulveda,
Sepulveda. I know it's hard.
Sepulveda, you have 2 minutes to respond. Do you need me to restate the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. With respect to progressive community planning, what is your plan for aggressive community growth and the recolorization of your district?
So obviously, housing and community development and planning is a big issue in our county. We don't have enough market rate housing and affordable housing for the people in our community. People honestly can barely afford rent. There's a lot of competition out there. We don't have enough homes for our community as it stands now. But we have to be responsible when we're looking at how we're building housing and where we're doing that, and making sure we're not doing it irresponsibly or creating unnecessary food deserts that we might see in certain areas of the county where there's not grocery stores. We have to make sure that it's inclusive for the community and accessible for all and affordable.
Thank you very much. Mr. Debram, do you
Yes.
need the question
Would you
restated?
please repeat the question? I just want to catch the very last word that you said.
Certainly. With respect to progressive community planning, what is your plan for aggressive community growth and the recolorization of your district?
Thank you very much. San Joaquin County is in a very unique position as we are some 95 miles from Stockton to San Francisco, and we're 45 miles to Sacramento. When we take a look at what we're looking at San Joaquin County, we're in a very unique position. The fact that we are bordered by 5 and 99, that we have the ability to build upon what we see in our county. We have an airport, we have a seaport, we continue to grow, and we have every opportunity to bring the jobs and creation that we have in our county. As we continue to move and we're going to address everything that we're looking at, we need to be proactive and mindful of everything that we can do that's going to be meaningful and bring jobs to a job creation to the county of San Joaquin. No matter what area you're in, if you are in Stockton or if you're in Lathrop or if you are in Manteca, we have to look and address each one of those issues that we're going to make a difference within the county. And when doing so, by people working together, not only myself and the other 4 individuals who will sit at the dais making a decision for the betterment of San Joaquin County, we have a responsibility. In doing so, we can make sure that we get our position where we need to be. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our second question, we'll start with Ms. Sepulveda, and then go right to you, and then to Mr. Dhaliwal. The second question is, growth includes attracting more businesses to our county and our city, which brings more traffic. What type of businesses would you solicit that pay higher wages rather than the warehousing jobs that are prevalent in our area? And how would you address the impending traffic issues?
I think it's no secret that we have a lot of warehouse development in areas that are more underserved in our community. Look at Arch Road, South Stockton. That does bring a lot of pollution. There's a lot of studies that show the air quality in those communities are far and above worse in the county than anywhere else. We need to create jobs that are trade jobs, livable wages for our community, not necessarily minimum wage jobs. I understand jobs are a great thing, but we have to make sure that our people, our youth, the parents of our youth, everybody has a livable wage that they're able to get. And part of that is bringing in and working with the colleges, trade schools, and making sure that we are creating a pipeline of people that are employable so that we can create businesses and attract businesses that can employ people in our community, that they stop driving over to the Bay Area in order to pay their bills, that they work here. That's what we need to do to create more businesses and jobs here for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Debra?
Thank you very much. When we look at what we have in San Joaquin County, agricultural is the #1 industry that we are dealing with. We are the 7th largest economic driver in the state of California. Along with manufacturing and the commercial facilities and retail businesses that we have every opportunity to grow the businesses that we have within the county. We need to ensure that we are making and taking every step possible to make a difference. We need to make sure that we're going to provide the correct type of education if we're going to look at job centers, because not everyone is going to go to college. So we need to make sure that we're going to educate the men and women who serve and who live in our county, that they have the ability to have some type of vocational education, that we can make a difference in how we're going to go forward. As we continue to grow this, we need to make sure that every citizen in our county has the dollars and cents so that they can afford to feed their family. Today, it requires at least 2 households or 2 individuals in a household to pay their way. And so in going forward, we need to work on every opportunity, look at every avenue in order to make the people of our county very much a better citizen, and having the dollars and cents that they can afford to feed their families and to afford to do the things that they really want to do in their life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I commuted to Bay Area. We moved to Lathrop in 1996, and I retired in 2019. So I was a commuter for 23 years, 74 miles one way, and I understand the issues, the challenges that the commuters deal with on a daily basis, how much time it takes away from the family. In city of Lathrop, we created thousands of jobs attracting businesses like Tesla, UPS, Kraft Heinz, Wayfair, Simwan, and people from Stockton, Manteca, Tracy, Modesto, Ripon, they work at Tesla in Lathrop. We even helped to create the reverse commute. People from Dublin, Pleasanton, Livermore, who were commuting to Fremont to work in Tesla, are coming to Lathrop. And that's what we continue to do at the county level, economic development, work with the other cities to create well-paying jobs here locally. And to address, we need to keep an eye on our infrastructure, how the growth is contributing to traffic jams. The county has a $2.6 billion budget. We have major K funds that can be used for infrastructure, but we have to stay ahead of the game. Instead of being reactive, we have to be active. See what's going on, see how we plan things, see, when people come, we need everything. We need police, fire, we need schools, but if you do not grow, then you get nothing. No jobs, continue to commute to Sacramento or the Bay Area. But when we do create these jobs and the growth, we have to have a balanced growth where it doesn't affect the quality of life of everybody. And we must continue to address these traffic issues and our infrastructure issues. And that's what I would do as your supervisor, working along with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our third and final question, we'll start with Mr. Dibram. Within San Joaquin County, African Americans make up only 6.6% of the population. However, they represent 24% of the population living below poverty, according to the 2018 census data. This economic disparity leads to inequalities in health and housing. What actionable policies will you introduce to improve the economic conditions of African Americans, the African American community in Stockton and San Joaquin County?
Thank you very much. An excellent question. 6.6% of the population is that of African American. Well, it is 6.6%. It is a very important part of our community. Every person in San Joaquin County is important. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what religion you are. It's a situation that I have always felt and believed in, that, and how I was raised, that individuals, no matter what, have an importance in life. I am the one person that will, I have an open door policy, have always had an open door policy. And when I don't understand something, I am going to go to the people who are in the community to better understand what are the needs of your community. How can I help you? I said a little bit earlier that I am one individual with 151,000 people in District 3. But at the end of the day, I'm also representing the other 650,000 that are out there. And it's how we're going to get there. It's working together as one. And I continue to say that because that is just something that I have believed in, and that's how I was raised. I was surrounded by black people. I was surrounded by brown people. I was surrounded by different ethnicities. And I was taught to respect each and every one. And so it's about making a difference, working together. As I said, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to work with you, the experts, and keep my ear open to your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dollywall, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Within San Joaquin County, African Americans make up only 6.6% of the population. However, they represent 24% of the population living below poverty, according to the 2018 census data. This economic disparity leads to inequalities in health and housing. What actionable policies will you introduce to improve the economic conditions of the African American community in San Joaquin County and Stockton?
Thank you so much. The numbers that you shared with us, that's alarming number. We must continue to work together to address these issues. The state had a program, it was called Enterprise Zone. If an employer was hiring employees from underserved community, they would get a tax break. So sometimes the state brings those programs, then those programs disappear. And as elected officials, we make sure that we continue to put pressure everywhere we can to make sure that the numbers that you have shared with us, they do not stay the way they are. This is totally unfair. I believe in equality and justice for all. When we sit at the dais, We represent everybody, and we got to make sure that anywhere in our community where this disparity keeps growing, it must get addressed. Like Steve said, we don't have answers for everything. I don't have answers for everything, but we need to continue to educate ourselves. I will continue to work with African American leadership in San Joaquin County with NAACP to educate myself what kind of challenges, how we address them together, what kind of programs we need to bring at the county level, work close with the cities, work close with the state representatives and federal representatives so that everybody enjoys this American dream that our forefathers and our Constitution guarantees for every citizen of this great nation. Thank you.
So this is exactly why representation matters, and who you vote into office matters so much. So many people feel like their vote doesn't matter because they aren't being heard anymore. People get into office, oftentimes policies get made without real community involvement, without people coming to the table and linking arms and saying to different communities, what is it you need? How can I help you? What is happening with healthcare in this region? Do we have enough doctors? Do we have enough mental health services? What's the housing like in this community? What can we do to help and make sure that each person is actually represented by who they elected into office? My job would be to be that bridge between the community, the policies that get made, and the agencies that will be enforcing them. That is what we need to make sure that we don't leave communities behind. And those numbers, unfortunately, are very common because people get into office and make policies that aren't reflective of the community that they serve. When I get into office, it is my promise to have an open door and to communicate with all communities to make sure that we are doing what we can at the county level to make sure that no community gets left behind. And we are taking steps forward to make sure that we build our communities and our families in safety and create a safe space for our kids, because that's what we all want. That's what we all have in common. So that's my job when I get into office. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we'll have 2-minute closing statements by each candidate. And let us start with Ms. Sepulveda.
Going again. Like I said, I want to be that bridge between the community, the policies that are getting enforced and decisions that are being made, as well as the agencies that are going to be enforcing them. Our district is West Stockton, Lathrop, Manteca. I don't know, maybe none of you live in that district, maybe a few of you do. Either way, we are designed, and I'm going to make sure that the whole county is represented, not just a pocket of people, not just behind the gates. The whole community, the whole entire county is represented. I am a business owner, a Latina. I've faced challenges that so many of you sitting here have probably faced. I've walked in your shoes. I know difficulties in trying to pay bills and trying to raise a family and getting through school and just trying to make ends meet. I've been there. And I promise you to have that open door policy between myself and my constituents and the voters. And if you will elect me, I promise to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Adaliwal, would you like to do your closing statement now?
Thank you. I migrated to this great nation in 1985, came looking for a better life for myself. I got married here. I had $20 in my pocket when I landed at San Francisco Airport. I had no idea that God is going to put me in a position where I'm going to be able to serve my fellow Americans. And I've been serving city of Lathrop since 2003. Lathrop was population 6,000 when we moved there. Now we are 35,000. We had in 2008, we were looking at a deficit in 5 years of $15 million. We worked hard. We made difficult decisions. In 2012, 12, instead of 15 million deficit, we had 6.5 million reserve. We started our own police department, and we had 28 deputies in June 2022, and now we have 42 officers. We attracted good paying, well paying jobs so that our citizens can stay in the city. They work there, they have more time to spend their families, they're less wear and tear on their cars, they pay less out of pocket on gas. And we continue to create a business an environment that's business friendly, and that's what I would do as a member of the San Joaquin County Board if given an opportunity. And I would make sure that every segment of the society has a voice and they are represented. Open door policy. I would also, have these gatherings at different locations, town hall meetings, to hear what people have to say. I believe in listen, learn, and then lead. And I am a listener, and I will listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deborah.
Thank you very much. In my opening statement, I indicated that I was a retired farmer, a businessman, and a council member. During that time, while I was operating the farm, it was a $2.5 million operation that I had the sole responsibility to make sure that everything was done correctly on it each and every day. I had the responsibility of making sure that my employees were taken care of and that the individuals were also treated fairly. When I moved into the process on the city council, I have a very strong feeling about economic development and jobs and what we can bring to the community. When we take a look at the 120 corridor in Manteca and you see Bass Pro, Costco, Big League Dreams, Sunny Valley Meats is just a mile off of that, Great Wolf Lodge, I had a great part of that to make sure that things did happen and we moved forward and getting that done. Each and every day, more than 85,000 people move from Merced County, Stanislaus County, and San Joaquin County over the hill to work. My goal is to see that those individuals will have a job and place here in our county to make sure that they can weather the storm here and make sure that they can have a place to live and to look at the housing and affordability of housing. Steve DeBrum is that person who is going to lead the charge to make sure that that happens. I have a firm commitment to work with the people of our county to make sure that everything happens. So on March 5th, please mark Steve DeBrum as the District 3 supervisor who will represent the people in San Joaquin County. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank Mr. Sunny Dhaliwal, Ms. Angel Sepulveda, and Mr. Steve Deborah, the County Board of Supervisors candidates for District 3. Thank you again. My name is Matana Floyd Okanlawan, and thank you for listening.
I would like to thank our moderator, Montine Floyd Okanwa, for asking the questions of this panel. Thank you very much, as well as again the candidates for the County Board of Supervisors, District 3. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you. Again, everyone, if we have any additional questions to ask, we encourage you to stay to the end of the forum where we will have a meet and greet with our candidates. We also encourage the candidates as well to stay until the end for us to meet with the constituents. All right, tonight's fourth and final panel will be for the County Board of Supervisors, District 5. There are 3 candidates running for this position: Wes Hoffman, Nancy Young, and Robert Rickman. Wes and Robert did not respond to the invitation. Please help me welcome candidate Nancy Young. And I'd also like to introduce the facilitator for the County Board of Supervisors District 5 race. Yolanda Burial Knight of the Tracy African American Association.
Well, good evening, everybody. They say you save the best for last. So before I open and conduct this candidates forum with Ms. Nancy Young, I always have to say this for myself and to set the pace, set the mood for me. And I'm just going to open with that this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you. And I just want to say also that I'm so excited to be here tonight to moderate tonight's discussion. Thank you to Pastor Smith, to the MC, Tia Barnes, and thank the sponsors, BWAPA, the NAACP, Victory and Praise, Pastor and First Lady, and Faith in the Valley. So we are going to get started with tonight's discussion. And you will have 1 minute. You will have a 1 minute opening statement. And there's a clock right up there, so you can see.
Hello? Okay, we're on. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the minute. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and thank you to BWAPA and to NAACP, Victory and Praise, and everyone who had anything to do with this tonight. My name is Nancy Young. I'm currently the mayor for the city of Tracy. This is my 12th year. I'm finishing up, and I am now running for county supervisor, district number 5. I have spent the last 12 years building relationships and building programs and building our community to make it better, to make it stronger, and to be inclusive, to be able to serve with many and all. And I am looking forward to making all the experiences and the relationships I built work for me as I'm going into supervisor, to be a representative for every single one within our district and within our community and within our state, within our country, within the world. I have served on, and I'm serving on, about boards that go all the way internationally. And I have served in this region on about 15 boards now that represent already, I'm minus the time. So hopefully you'll give me some other questions to say some other things so you know more about me. Thank you.
Yeah,
I wish that time was right there. May move over there. Thank you.
The night is yours. You will have 3 questions, Mayor Young. The first one is, and you'll have 2 minutes for each. District 5 has had a large increase in population over the last 5 to 10 years. What are the most important issues that need to be addressed? And what strategies do you have for addressing these issues?
Okay, thank you. So I will go in order. Homelessness and affordable housing is important. It's something that's important across the whole country, but it's especially important within our community so that people who not only live there but have their children who grow up to be adults, as all 4 of my children are adults, to be able to be independent and own their own piece of this independence land that we live in. But besides that, we need to look at workforce development. We need to make sure that no matter where you are, no matter where you are in life, that you have the ability to have the workforce development, the upskilling that's necessary. And then lastly, we want to make sure that we are working our economy and on bringing jobs to our community, continuing to do that. And so the strategies, I want to deal with housing and homelessness, and I've worked on that since I've been on the council. It took years before I got some people on the council with me that was able to move the needle on that and actually get a strategic plan in place in 2019 so that when 2020 came here, we were already ahead of the curve to be able to build our homelessness facility to be able to address some of those things. But there's a lot that has to do with housing, and so, see, now it's making me nervous looking at the time, so I'm not going to even look at it. You have to tell me. But for workforce development, there are things that needs to be done. We've tried to attract different schools, different vocationals into our community, but we have to start at the pipeline, and our pipeline starts with our youth. And so I've led a mentor program at Kimball High for 10 years to help prepare students for post-high school, whether it was college, whether it was certification, no matter what it was. And then as mayor for the last 3 years, I have actually had workforce development paid youth under the Mayor's Youth Network program. And so when it comes to economic development, you have to have vision. And so it can't just be something that you talk about, but you have to be able to go out and attract these different businesses in. And that's what I've done since I've been on the council and plan to do later. Thank you.
Second question. What are some underfunded programs or services that you believe need to be enhanced in your district? And how do you propose to advocate for those resources?
Some of the resources that we need is behavior and mental health. Not only do we need that for our shelters, but we need that for people. And so the thing is, when we don't always have to do the things, we as a mom or a person of leadership, we have to find ways to make it happen. So what I did this past year is, as a part of Tracy Connects that I helped create, that I actually created through the chamber, we had our focus on behavior and mental health. And not only was it at our annual event, it was as a part of my mayor's ball. And because of those two events together, we raised over $30,000 to $50,000 to give to 8 different organizations that are doing things in that space. And so the thing is making opportunities and making things work when you don't have the funds on hand. And so we need to actually look for the things that are out there to be able to share within our communities. There's a lot of things that people don't know about, even at the last minute when we have appropriations that's coming from our state or coming from our federal government. I got calls from our leaders in those capacities, from Susan Eggman, from Josh Harder, to ask me, do you need anything in Tracy? Because we haven't got a call to say that we need anything. So that's why relationships are important, that we can get those funding into our communities. And we were able to bring in millions both times, and we only had a day or 2 days to work with it to make it happen. So behavior and mental health is one of the main things that we need to focus on. So, I mean, I have some more time, but I'm just going to save that for now. So, because that's the main thing, that we need resources to come in. And so I was trying to think what the rest of the question was, but I was focused on that.
The second part of the question is, how do you propose to advocate for these resources?
For the resources, we need so much, y'all. That's why I went out there and got Measure V, so that we can have the resources we need to be able to have the amenities built in our communities. We say that we don't have anything to do with kids, but are we going to just talk about it, or are we going to do something about it? So that's why I reached it and did that. In over 20 years, we were bringing over $300 million to do just that.
All right, and the very last question is, what programs or community initiatives have you been directly involved with to assist African American residents, and which have had the biggest impact for the community?
Oh my goodness. So we're just doing, okay, this is the NAACP in BWAPA. So the thing is that I am African American, and my mentor, Evelyn Tolbert, who was the first Black person on our Tracy City Council, now be it known that I'm the first Black mayor, and I'm the first female mayor for the city of Tracy. But the one thing she told me first off, she said, first of all, Nancy, you are Black, and you need to be authentically Black. You need to join Tracy African American Association. So I had to look it up, and I had to find it, and I joined TAAA, and as well as NAACP, and as well as BWAPA, to be able to make sure that I am about my community. When I was in Washington, D.C., Auntie Maxine, she said, if you don't do something about it, who you waiting to do something for your people? You got to do something. And this was at the African American Mayors Conference. So I have been working hard to make sure that I only not represent and show up for my people, but actually show up for every person. I highlight all the cultures, the many cultures that make up the mass community within the city of Tracy. But I am a Black woman first. And so when we had the march because of Floyd, I made sure that I showed up for my community, and I spoke to the younger people to let them know, as an elder, that you need our direction. We need your fire, but you need to be able to connect with us so that we can get things done. And so from that event itself, I was able to help have community conversations that was fostered through the city of Tracy that included churches and nonprofits and civic organizations, so that we had plans in place to move forward and to address the different issues that different ones had in our community. As TAAA, I've been the treasurer, I've been Juneteenth chair, because we need to spread our culture among the community. I've led mentor programs, and I've helped many young people get into and go through college through my mentor program, through the mentor programs at the school district. And so I'm just continuing. Okay, I'm done.
Well, now you have 2 more minutes for a closing statement.
So you don't give me time to think.
Well, you can shake it out. You can shake it out. It's just give her 4. No, it has to be 2. It has to be fair.
Okay. So this is a long journey, and I understand that it's hard and it's rough. But after 12 years, I tell you that I am up for this challenge because there are so many different boards I sit on. The largest board that I sit on is 58 people, and that's Cal Cities. And there have been times I've walked into a meeting and our entire board was recommended to go in one direction, and not only did I help shift them to neutral to all the way against, that is just what God has blessed me with, to be able to listen, to hear, and to bring people together. It's important that we are building community together. We all need one another. There is nothing that I can do of substance besides serve God, because that's all I got. And it's in the last year, we focused on restoring learning loss because of all the things that was happening with our youth and what they lost from 2020 and 2021. And then the year before that, we focused on homelessness. And it's building the community by providing resources and making sure that our community knows of those different resources. And I sit on San Joaquin Partnerships, and different ones in other cities are interested in doing the same thing. And I would like to see that go across our county so that we can build things together and come to the table, because everyone is not at the table, but everybody's voice does matter. And we need to make sure that we're bringing the multitude of voices into the rooms as we're making decisions. One thing I was thinking about today was just vision. We have to have vision and ideas, because many times people will promise you the world, but they've done nothing to show that they can do it. But when you look at the things that I do, it's about getting things done and being productive and having the vision for the future. And so that's what I want to be a part of that future with you, to vote for me, District Number 5, Nancy Young.
Thank you. Yes, you can clap. And I just wanted to thank you, Mayor Young, for coming today. I wanted to take this opportunity to appreciate the fact that I was asked to moderate one of tonight's forums. And the other thing I was thinking about right before I came out is that one of the things Obama says is, don't boo, vote. And then I thought about, if you don't vote, don't boo, don't complain. So we really need to get out and vote. Those of you who did not register to vote while you had the opportunity, you can still do so in the back. And so thank you very much for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you, Yolanda Knight. Thank you very much for moderating this panel here. And I'd also like to thank our candidate for County Board of Supervisors, District 5. Everyone give us a round of applause. We invite you to stay to the end. We're almost there. I got a few more things to say. We're going to have a closing prayer, and then we'll be at the end there where we get to have the meet and greet with the candidates that were able to stick around. I want to take this opportunity to thank our team that worked very diligently in the back, the tech team, as well as our timekeepers, security, and greeters to make this night a positive success. So thank you very much. I would also like to thank the partners, Victory and Praise Church, Faith in the Valley, BWAPA, Stockton and Tracy Branch, as well as the NAACP of Stockton for working together to facilitate this evening. Yes. And of course, a big thank you to you, the audience, for participating in both person as well as online tonight. We hope that you were able to learn more about the candidates for each of these races. We invite you to join us again tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m., where we'll be hearing from candidates for the City Council Districts 2, 4, and 6. And lastly, our final forum of the week will be Thursday at 6 p.m., where we'll be hearing for candidates for Stockton Mayor. A recording of tonight's forum will be posted on the Victory and Praise Facebook page and YouTube page. Faith in the Valley's Facebook page, as well as the NAACP Stockton Facebook page and website. We encourage you to follow the pages as well as like and share the recordings of the forums with your friends and your family. I would now like to turn this over to the NAACP President, Bobby Bivens, for closing comments. And yeah, that's it. There we go.
We want to thank you all for being here. We, the team, and you see the names up there, and certainly without all of these organizations, this would not be possible. And we want to thank the candidates for showing up. We want to thank you, the voters, for showing up, because that's what's really important. And again, we want to make sure that all the voters are educated voters and not just voting for people that talk and don't walk, and for the folks that don't show up, that don't call in, that if they're not here, then that says what they think about us. So if we're important, you act like we're important and you come and you talk to us. If you don't, then we treat you like you treat us. And fair exchange is never robbery. I do want to say to Pastor Trina, this is getting better. It's getting better, and it feels good, and it's always a pleasure for us to try to educate black people. But what you all need to understand is that when black people benefit, everybody benefits. I just told that to a school superintendent today. Don't be afraid to do things for black children, because you're not going to do it just for them. You're going to turn right around, do it for everybody else, and then we have to come back and remind you to do it for black kids again. So when black people benefit, all people benefit. Mrs. Tolliver, I know you have an announcement that you wanted to make, and you can do it from there if you don't mind. Or you can, I can hand you the mic. I don't want you to jump up here, though.
Don't worry. Thank you again. What we heard tonight is about community, and whether it's in politics or just in service. And the Stockton chapter of the Links Incorporated has been in this community since 1966, serving in every capacity. And all of our proceeds from any event we have goes back to the community through the schools and health and other homelessness and all kinds of programs. We are having our first golf tournament on March 25th. If you don't play golf, you can come out and support. And also I will have flyers in the back where you can scan the QR code and go on and see exactly what the Links Incorporated is doing in this community. So I invite all of you to the Stockton Golf Tournament, the Links Incorporated at Brookside Country Club on March 25th. Thank you. Mr. Bivens.
You're welcome. And, you know, I've taken a couple of minutes here, and I'm going to be quiet. But I think it's 8:02, 8:05. Oh, well, I took up the 5 minutes, so I believe we were done with the business at 8 o'clock. You know, so we don't want to hear none of that. They started late. They stayed all night. And that didn't happen, did it? So let it be said, let the truth be told, and we look forward to tomorrow night and having the next panel, and then Thursday night. But more importantly, if you're not registered, there's voter registration forms in the back. And so register, join the NAACP. We're the cheapest union in the world, you know, and when you get fired off your job, you come to us to join the union. So don't get waited till you fired off your job to get representation all along. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you on the behalf of the sponsoring team, and we will have a prayer and be out of here.
Amen. Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for each and every person that is here tonight, Father God. I thank you for the voters, the candidates, the moderators, the workers behind the scene, Father God. God, I ask right now that you bless this house for opening up the doors to the community. In the name of Jesus, God, I trust that you will send your angels to go with us as we leave this place, and no hurt, harm, or danger will come to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Everybody say amen.